Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Wednesday, December 1st. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get started, I do want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I am offering. So if you're liking what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about the tool of technical analysis and how it can be used to build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, then down in the description box, there's a link you can click on. If you're watching at my site, then there's going to be an area right there on the webpage that you can click on. So just keep that in mind. And as I go, if you like what you see, then definitely get signed up for the free class. A couple of quick notes before I get started here. First off, I am using the 30-minute time frame. So if you're new to charts, each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of price action. And then second, the market is still open for a little bit. So you're not crazy, but as I go through, you'll see that candle still moving around a little bit. But I like to do that. Sometimes we can capture some really interesting price action. But the market is, close enough to being done for the day where the levels I talk about will still apply going into Wednesday. So first one here, ticker symbol PPSI. Very impressive move. But what makes this the most interesting, in my opinion, is how the volume has returned late day today. And now it becomes a valid question of, okay, is there some sort of bigger move that's gonna take shape here? Now, of course, nothing is guaranteed, but is that at least a valid thought that maybe this is waking back up? Well, yeah, it's completely valid when you look at the volume getting bigger again, and you see that the price did make a move upwards. Granted, it did pull back a little bit, but within that pullback, that's where we now have a very well-defined area of resistance right up there at about $10.85. If you just want to call it 11, I don't think anybody would argue against that. But, the key idea here, and again, nothing guaranteed, but is it valid to think that if the price consolidates, comes up to 1085, 11, whatever you want to call it, and breaks through that level, that break could create some good, solid, additional upwards momentum? It's absolutely a valid thought process to have. So keep a close eye on that level from the resistance side of things. If you like to play pullbacks, then the main area from the support standpoint is going to be this former breakout area down there around $8.25. But I think the most intriguing dynamic about this one is how the price came back to life this afternoon. Not just a question of can this life continue to get it up through that 1085 mark. Let's see what happens on Wednesday. Next one, AMC, and a rough day all around on this as the price continued to pull back. Now, granted, the markets did have a rough day too, but in the past, AMC would just not even care what the market's doing. It would completely do its own thing, but it's now starting to get more in line with the market. Maybe you'd argue that's a good thing, but regardless, today a big drop to the downside here and has broken down through that green line, which I've talked about quite a bit. And, not shocking to see that the price has now entered into an area that, it hasn't seen for quite a while. So updates certainly need to be made. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that line there as it served its purpose. And moving forward, as far as the near-term level of resistance is concerned, as far as that initial area, it's going to be top part of this range right here that was established right there at $34.50. From more of an overarching level, the key level to watch would be that purple line there, 50 period moving average, right now valid at 36.75, give or take. But you also don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. Let's just first see if the price can even get above 34.50. And then at that point, you can, it makes a little bit more sense to start to put more focus on that 50 period moving average. In terms of levels of support, nothing fancy, nothing complicated here at all. Literally just a question of where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was right down there at $32.75. So for that reason alone is going to be the main area of support. But as of now, very clear downtrend is officially in play here. And, this one is broken out of downtrends before, so it's not impossible for it to happen. But, that doesn't take away from the fact that as of right now, this thing is still currently in a downtrend. So just got to see if it can pull off one of its maneuvers and make another nice move to the upside. Next one, CPIX, and a very, very interesting situation here. Almost mimics the entire idea behind PPSI. There was a pullback here, but then late day, you can see volume has returned. The price has started to show signs of strength, which brings about the question of, okay, is there another move brewing? Is this some sort of leading indicator that late day volumes returned, prices moved upwards? And while no guarantees, like I said, is it valid to be thinking this way? Absolutely. And I think every breakout player and their brother's uncle is going to be watching this $5.30 mark right up around here. And if the price can get up there and break up through it, as this one has already shown today, it can move and move very quickly. So does that mean that if it breaks right there, it'll for sure explode? No, of course not. But very valid to think that way as far as pullbacks are concerned. A very well-established level now. Right there at the $4 mark, you can see not once, but actually twice the price bounced off level. Doesn't mean that it'll for sure bounce off it again, but it's certainly an area where if the price does get down there, given it's already happened twice, it seems reasonable to think that it could happen again if the price even goes back down to $4. But as of now, it's really all about, can the price get up to that level and get the breakout? Let's see what happens on Wednesday. Next one, LCID, and a rough day today, no doubt about that, but also got to keep things in context. And there's a very interesting level here that was standing out to me that I want to get into play here that I think does a good job of illustrating the fact that overall this thing does still have a bullish pattern, which can sound crazy because I get it. Today, looking at today individually can feel very bearish because sure, the price did pull back quite a bit. But let's just look at this from more of a multi-week perspective. And what do we have here? Well, we have this area of resistance up there, which I talked about. And as I just drew in there, we have that support trend line right there. So right here, we basically you have an ascending triangle pattern, which is a bullish pattern. Now, just because it's a bullish pattern doesn't mean that it's for sure going to go upwards. But again, it's not like it's the end of the world. It's not like the chart is terrible. Again, I understand if you're a day trader and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within, 7 minutes. Well, then yeah, from that angle, the chart looks really bad. But from a bigger picture point of view, as you see here, there is actually still a bullish pattern. So on that note, that this trend line right here, let's call it right around the $51 mark, becomes a very important level because if the price crashes down through there, well then at that point you no longer have this pattern in play. And then if the price does recover back upwards, I still have that level up around 57.50, which I've talked about in the past videos. But overall, like I said, today, yeah, a rough day. But looking at multiple days, actually a nice bullish pattern is formed. Next one here, IMGN, and as I look at this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it because I don't want to just repeat myself because there's a lot of the same kind of general ideas and premises that are showing up here. But once again, like a couple other ones, pull back and then check it out. Late day, the price has moved back upwards. Now, the one, I don't think complaint is the right word, but the one thing I would note is, okay, you didn't quite have the surge of volume like the other ones did, but still, nonetheless, the price did bounce up nice words and has now given a nice area from resistance to kind of monitor any sort of breakout area, which is right there at $6.30. So we'll see if 630 comes into play. If it does, and if the price can break up through it, the next key level after that would be up there around the $6.60 mark. But again, big movement up. Yeah, big pullback. But the key part is it's starting to show a little strength here with the move upward. So we'll see if that can carry into Wednesday. As far as if the price continues to pull back, you have that pink line down there, the very well-known, very famous 200 period moving average, currently valued at $5.50. So keep an eye on that. But again, the main idea here is, okay, it's starting to show some signs of strength again. Can the thing continue to reverse back around? We'll see what happens. Next one here, AAPL, Apple, and a very simple reason why I'm putting this one on the watch list. It's Apple. Who hasn't heard of Apple? Everybody's heard of Apple. Along with that, I draw that line right there at, and let's make sure that I'm getting the right value, 165.75. And I assure you people all around the world that this level right here, it takes zero talent on my part. So I'm not trying to imply I have a special skill, not trying to imply that's a great discovery, the exact opposite. All sorts of people are watching that level and wondering the same exact thing. Wow, Apple, with, I should note, a very crazy final 30 minutes, has approached this area right there. Now the big question is, can the price break through it? And if so, is that going to be the start of a whole nother round of momentum to the upside? Nobody knows that, but the idea here is a lot of people are going to be watching and thinking, wondering the same thing. So call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. When enough people are watching the same level, thinking the same thing, it can definitely produce a whole lot of upwards momentum. So it's really as simple as that. Apple, 165.75. Does it break? If so, how much momentum does it get? Let's see what happens. Next one, MEIP. And I mean, the chart's not ruined, but when I found this one, I was thinking, okay, hopefully it can stay, below that area right there. But it did actually get the breakout, and you can see last 30 minutes, very impressive breakout, very impressive volume. So from the breakout standpoint, yeah, that play's essentially gone right now. Now, a new breakout point could form. There's no doubt about that. But as far as, what I was seeing, that ship has kind of sailed already. But what is very apparent and what is a more than valid play to potentially keep an eye on is any sort of pullback here. So if you do like to play pullbacks, meaning you like to see something break out and then maybe pull back a bit with the idea that then it's going to continue on in your favor. A very interesting level here is at $3.20. So keep an eye on that. But the main dynamic here is that this thing not only had a good day of volume, but it also closed with the biggest volume it had all day during that final 30 minutes right there. So it's at least worth keeping an eye on. And even if, like I said, you're not a pullback player, you are a breakout player, it's still worth at least watching, seeing if some sort of new resistance forms where you could get a trend line in place, or, some sort of, area where like, okay, if that breaks, then it would make sense to buy. So overall though, yeah, a little disappointed in the sense of I can't sit here and talk about the breakout formation, but it is still, solid in the sense of there could be opportunity on Wednesday. Next one, ARDX. Very simple reason for this one. Nothing was essentially going on early part of the day, and then kaboom, volume came pouring in, and now you have a very nice pattern here to keep an eye on with some well-defined levels. So breakout area, going to be that trend line right there. We'll call it right around $1.20. And then as far as the support is concerned, any sort of pullback area right there around the $1.04 mark. But just to make this pattern a little bit easier to see, let's just make it all one color. So we have the resistance there. We have the support right there. We have the big momentum move right there. So in a technical pattern, perspective, this would be known as a bull flag pattern. And it's really as simple as that. Bull flag, now it's just a question of, is this the start of something bigger? Is this just a consolidation? So in other words, will it go sideways a little bit, get up to that area, break out, and then get continuation? That's the big question right now, but it's a more than valid thought process to have, and one where, especially if you like to play this price range, you got a great pattern, so it's worth keeping on the watch list, no doubt. Next one here is Tesla, and I like this just because I've been trading it quite a bit, and I'm doing this for my sake as much as anybody else's in terms of levels I'll be watching for tomorrow. So you can take or leave these areas. Like I said, these are going to be the levels that I'll be watching. But first level here that I'm very curious about from a support standpoint right there, 11.1850. You can see that this has been basically the bottom part of this, kind of choppy range right here. So if the price does come down to that area and fails down below it, logical to think that that could create additional selling pressure and send this down to 1100, if not lower than that. Maybe even a gap close, though. Gap close down there. Still a little skeptical, and maybe that's getting a little too pie in the sky. But regardless, that doesn't change the fact that 11.1850 is a very intriguing level from the support side of things. And then from the breakout side of things, the main area that I'm curious about now is this overarching trend line right there. So I'm going to call it right around the 1165 mark. So from a breakout standpoint, very interesting level up around there. And then from the breakdown standpoint, so if you're looking long, that's an interesting area. People that like to go short, or if you like to play bounces, then yeah, right around 11.1850 is an interesting level, but we'll see what happens with it. And then I want to close out here with SPY, the overall markets, because this is definitely going to play a role into things. And what I'm very curious about here is this dynamic move going on right now. The price is sitting right here at this lower trend line. And in my mind, going into tomorrow, is this going to produce a bounce in the upwards direction? Now, there's a big difference between a bounce and a reversal. So I'm not saying, is this price, is it going to reverse back up to, the all-time highs? I'm not saying that. But from a trading standpoint, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see this thing get some sort of bounce in the upwards direction. But if it doesn't happen, and if this thing just crashes down through that trend line, well, that's just really illustrating that things, they're already bearish, of course, but things would just be getting that much more bearish from a momentum and trading standpoint. And once again, as I talked about previously with Apple, that trend line right there is not some sort of special skill I have. I assure you, a whole lot of people have drawn that trend line, and they're going to be wondering the same thing. So self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever you want to call it. If the price does break down through there, I can see that generating a lot of bearish momentum throughout the rest of the market. But if there is any sort of bounce, then the key resistance area to watch closely going to be right up there around the 459 mark in the near term. And then that purple line there, 50-period moving average, with a little bit of a broader sense. But overall, like I said, in my mind, what I'm most curious about, when I think a lot of other people are curious about, is, all right, price is at that trend line. Let's see what it decides to do with it on Wednesday. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about the tool of technical analysis, how it can be used, how it cannot be, or how it should not be used, but how ultimately it's a great tool to build consistency, then the class will be on Thursday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up for it. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, would like for me to continue to make these videos, then hit the like button and leave any kind of comment down below. Give me a ticker symbol that you traded today. Tell me, give me a number of your choosing, a smiley face emoji. But hitting the like button, leaving a simple comment communicates to me that you enjoy the videos. And as long as I know people are enjoying, then I will continue to put in the time and effort to run the scans and to put these watch lists together for you. Again, if you want to learn more about the tool of technical analysis, definitely get signed up for the class. Everybody take care. Have a good one.